I just don't have a clue when I'm supposed to do that.
Mom's going to work. If it can't happen on paper, it can't happen in real life. Are you completely upside down? What is this? Tell me all the things. Tell me what is the big challenge you're trying to overcome?
Yes. Okay. So I know everybody says they're busy. So like that's everyone, but seriously, I have 4 boys and I homeschool them. And so I have 2 that I'm schooling and then 2 that are little bitty, right? So I'm chasing my baby and my toddler. And I have all these great ideas, between your education and other education. I have all these ideas of what I need to be doing to bring in more business, right? Like to get, I want to get out there and network. I want to get out there and connect with more businesses. I want to do all that stuff. I have all this whole list of ideas and I just don't have a clue when I'm supposed to do that. Like how do you fit that into real life? Like recently I moved my studio from a small space to a little bit bigger space. I'm super excited about it.
Cool.
And a lady from the city in the town I'm in, she emailed and, welcomed me to their downtown. And she said she kind of runs all their, downtown happenings and stuff. And anyway, she was super sweet and invited me to, we do this networking thing. We do this other networking thing. We'd love to have you. And I got all excited. Well, then she said, the time that they meet. And of course it's like 8:30 on a Tuesday morning. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do that? I have my kiddos, right? Like I'm their caregiver every day. And until I can get, I feel like I'm just caught in this middle ground where if I was bringing in more business and doing better, maybe I could afford a sitter to kind of give me some more freedom to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But until I get there, like until I'm making enough to where I can do that, like how do I get there? Right. Like, cause I need to be doing that stuff.
It's so chicken or egg because you're like, well, I could do this, but I can't do this, but I could do this. Yeah.
Right. That would be, I need to do that, but I can't do it. So like,
And so you're the go-to parent and homeschooling, as we both know, I was a homeschooler as well. I mean, homeschooling is not nothing. It's a big full-time job. And so you have multiple jobs that you're trying to field right now. So okay. So let me put it to you this way. If you were to go and apply for a job right now, like if your family agreed, okay, this is what we need to do. You're going to go be part-time. If that were to happen, how would you carve out time for that job? Like, what would you have to do differently in your family to give you working hours if you were working outside the home?
Right. So either it would be, kind of what I do now, so right now my hubby comes home from work and then I can go have consultations and order appointments or shoots in the evenings, I shoot on Saturdays a lot. Like that's kind of what I do now. So if I was going to get some other part-time job, it would either be, splitting time like that. Like, so when he's home, I go, or right. Like I said, you'd have to have some kind of, either babysitter, some kind of a setup like that to where someone is here with them.
And
but
is his job flexible? Like could he arrange a shift where he would be home at 4 or is he always 9 to 5?
He does come home at 4. So that does rock. We have started, we swing that. He goes in early and gets done at 4. And so that's great. He travels a little bit, but otherwise, that's been a good schedule. Like it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Meeting wise.
And then meanwhile, like this new networking opportunity, they're saying, oh, we meet at 8:30. So could he just shift it the other way?
Possibly. I definitely, and I wonder if he maybe could like occasionally, right? It's not like it would be, I don't know if she said they meet once a month or twice a month. It's not like it would be every day or every, something like that. It would just be maybe on those days. I wonder if we could swing something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you've got to do is you've got to think of this as mom's going to work. And if mom's going to work, what does that look like? And just like if you were to suddenly pick up shifts at Starbucks, I mean, although this is much more profitable than Starbucks,
right?
You need to say to yourself, how would I schedule this time away? And how would the family step up to support that? So what I would do, and this is something I literally did, this all started out as like a big craft project for me. I got a poster board, and we know about this again, homeschooling. You probably already have these supplies. So you get a piece of poster board, you get colorful paper, and you mark out an entire week on this poster board. And then you go, from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., whenever your day starts and ends, you just mark everything down. And you want to start with your priorities. So obviously you're going to have like non-negotiable priorities that you must do and that you're committed to doing. And those have got to come on first. And so it might be a balance of like starting with a little bit, what's my number one life priority? And then what's my number one work priority? And I think you've correctly identified that your number one work priority right now is to get more clients. You have to be out there. You have to be a face in the community. So once you know know, okay, the number one work priority is going to be networking to help me build my marketing, then
Mhm.
you need to now go do a little reconnaissance and say, well, when is the networking in my area? You've already
Mhm.
got a great lead. You know that it's
Yeah.
happening at 8:30 at this one thing. So that's a start. And the good news is if your husband has flexibility, you may
Mhm.
find, okay, well, typically there's this Monday 8:30 meeting. And
Mhm.
typically the second Wednesday, there's a 4 to 6 p.m. meeting. So you want to look for events that are going to be regular because I think that will help your family structure too. But once you
Mhm.
know where those need to plug in, bunk, bunk, they go down on your craft project and you
Yeah.
know what's coming. And so next, you're like, okay, well, what other things must happen? Well, the good news is Saturday is going to be shoot day, so that's
Yeah.
easy. You can just mark that off. And
Mhm.
consultations are going to be, maybe you plan consultations are Tuesday at 6 and Thursday at 6.
Mhm.
So make sure all the priorities get on there. And what I always say is if it can't happen on paper, it can't happen in real life. So right
Okay.
now,
Yeah.
everything is very amorphous and you're just
Right.
trying to like guess at what goes where. But you need to
Mhm.
really think of this as the boss is calling. The boss in this case is you.
Is me.
But the boss is calling and the boss is saying, where are your work hours? And we need to
Yeah.
make this work for the project. So you have got to map this out. First take one stab at it, have your husband overlook it, have the kids overlook it. This is going to be a group project, but you're going
Group
to iron
project.
things out and know where it's going. And in meanwhile, like, I know you said you have all the things, but do you have next level? Is that one of the all the things you have?
I have not gotten that yet. It looks amazing and sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I've done a different education thing and learned a bunch
Okay.
and have, some of that I want to try to apply as well, but I've
Yeah.
definitely learned some following you on Facebook too, and so
I
you
do give a lot. I put it out there. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And so I've learned a bunch from you too already. And like,
Yeah.
I love your emphasis on, yeah, getting out there, networking, being,
Absolutely.
I mean, the face of your brand, right? Like they're going to get
Yeah.
to know me. Once they know and love me, they might holler at me for work and stuff.
That
So
that is
yeah.
the truth. And so you
Hmm.
have to first have the time to even make these things build. So it's going to be
Yes.
very important that that gets built. So this whole
Hmm.
idea of the poster board craft project, this
Hmm.
actually evolved into in next level we have a desktop app. So
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
if you want to have fun with it, you could move to that level where it's just like,
Next
moving
level.
around pixels and it's really much more fun and engaging. But hey, you can still do this on paper because these projects
Yeah.
can be done. So the first thing you got to do is you've got to know the priorities, they've got to be down on paper, they've got to be approved by the family, and then you must
Mhm.
stick to it. You have to
Yeah.
stick to it as this is my work schedule. And so
Hmm.
it can't be negotiable. Just like if you had taken on a 20-hour part-time job outside the work,
Hmm.
outside the home, it's not like, oh, well, this Monday I don't feel like going networking. No, it's
Right.
like this is the job.
Yeah, for
So
sure. And I
that's going
think
to be the
like
mission.
that's a super good point. Like I feel like
Hmm.
it's almost a priority thing. Like, yeah, like
Yeah.
since my job can be flexible,
Yeah.
I kind of take the back seat, right? Like you said, I need to make it not negotiable. I need to make
Yeah.
it like, yeah, my job comes up there too. It's up on the
Yeah.
priority list too. So yeah, if I need time to do this, like I just need to say, yeah, it's like my boss made me come in and
My
made me
boss
do
made
this
me
right
come
now. And
in.
yeah,
She's a taskmastress, that one. But
right.
yeah, but it really does. It's actually not as chicken or egg as you might think it is, because
Mhm.
factually, you will not be able to build your business if you don't have the time to do the marketing. And
Yes,
so
right.
the more you kick that down the road, success will never be yours. So this has to be
Hmm.
like the number one focus right now. Like you need to know more people. And I think as part of
Hmm.
the time management too, it's really important that you're realistic with your hours. I know that
Hmm.
when I was homeschooling, what was realistic for me was 20 hours. And even that was
Yeah.
a bit of a stretch.
Hmm.
So when I did this full hours inventory and I said, well, realistically, what does it take for me to work with a client start to finish? And I put down every single thing. And so this would be
Hmm.
another exercise you could do. You could really stretch your imagination, say, well, what things am I doing? There's consultation, there's drive time, there's the
Hmm.
discovery call, there's organizing those notes, there's prepping the order, going to the vendor, delivering the order. There's so many more things than just the 1 hour photo shoot. So
Hmm.
when I
Yeah.
put that all down, does it surprise you to hear that I actually discovered I need 30 hours start to finish with a client?
Right, with a client. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's insane. I bet if you'd really take a look at it, yeah, I could totally
Yeah.
see it being that much.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
once you realize that, and this is why I think if it doesn't happen on paper, it doesn't happen because you need to
Mhm.
have that reality check moment where it's like, oh, this is why I'm overwhelmed. This is why
Mhm.
my schedule isn't working. And oh, this is why I can't serve a client every day, because this is a
Yeah,
30-hour start to finish process.
right.
So when I realized that, I really gave myself permission and grace to be more reasonable about what I expected because it was
Mhm.
a very hard time for me. I think for a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're very ambitious. We want to be 10
Mhm.
steps further ahead than we are. And
Right.
and I remember this feeling of feeling like my kids were a ball and chain. And
Mm.
that's a horrible feeling. Like no
Right, you don't
one
wanna feel that way.
no, you don't want to feel like your
Yeah.
kids are holding you back because they're not. They're
Mhm.
amazing gifts that you've chosen to spend your time with.
Yeah.
So I realized, I said, okay, my kids are not a ball and chain at all.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
are my gifts. And what I'm going to
They're
do
why
is
I'm doing this.
yes, they are why I'm doing this. I mean, my kids are why I got into photography in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, if I'm going to work with clients, it has to be worth my family's time. It has to be
Yep.
worth the sacrifice. And then I
Mhm.
realized, okay, well, realistically, if I can work 20 hours a week, I can probably get a client every other week because it's
Mhm.
not going to be realistic to do a client every week in 20 hours. I mean, if I
Yeah.
outsourced a million pieces, possibly, but
Right, maybe down the road, but
yeah.
maybe not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So give yourself a little bit more grace. And when I was part time in homeschooling, I had one client a month, kind of shoot for the
Mhm.
moon, land among the stars. My goal was two a month, but
Yeah.
realistically, I landed at one. And that was
Mhm.
enough to bring in $33,000 in revenue because I had a nice
Mhm.
high sales average.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is definitely worth my time. And then I
Mhm.
started dreaming to the next step. And I said, this is meaningful now. This is why I say make money that matters. It's like
Mhm.
you want to make money that's meaningful and that matters to your family and also make something that matters to your clients too. So it's got to be both ways. So once
Mhm.
I realized that, I said to myself, okay, I can now see where this is going. I have proof of concept. I know I can average $3,000. If I had more time, now I could, what would it look like if I had a client a week? And so
Mhm.
then when I went more towards the full time, I did get that client a week and then I made 100,000. And then I said,
Yeah.
let me get smarter about time management. Let me see what else I can outsource. And then I made
Mhm.
200,000. So like this could be your trajectory by
Yeah.
working smarter, by really being aware of the time and of the priorities, you can continue to grow and grow your business. And you never have to work more than 40 hours. You can just work
Mhm.
in the time you have by being sensible with your time management. So to this
Yeah.
day, I mean, now I'm running multiple
Right?
enterprises and so seven figures of different revenue streams. And
Love it.
so I'm still not working more than 40 hours.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. So don't think that there's is never about your kids are locking you in. It's never about, that you can't achieve what other people can achieve. You can achieve whatever your priorities and your mission tells you to achieve.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
more dialed in details will be good. So I would say start with your craft project,
Yay.
get going on the networking, and as soon as you can, I would say to elevate your knowledge, start getting into those higher level workshops. I can't account for what other programs you've done, but I can
Right.
tell you that I know that next level will teach you everything that's in my brain because this is literally the stuff I learned to allow me to grow and grow and grow. So
Yes.
there's more secrets to unlock and there's more growth you can do, but we just got to like start with the first step, get yourself to that networking meeting and start making that happen. The thing that caught my attention is that you said you have this new studio you just moved to and that it's a
Yes.
new bigger space. And then I was putting two and two together. I'm like, okay, hold on. Here's somebody who is struggling with time and, has and doesn't know how much you can do for marketing. And then meanwhile, I'm like, wow, and there's a new, bigger studio in the equation.
Right? Like
Are you
I'm
completely
growing.
upside down? What is this? Tell me where you're
No,
at, like, financially.
I feel like I'm growing at like baby steps, right?
Okay.
So I've had my other space. I'm in a lower I don't know what you call it, not lower income, just not
Mhm.
I'm I'm Midwestern
Yeah.
smaller town, right? So
Yeah.
things are just not as expensive here as other places, right? So
Okay.
I've had a smaller space for 4 years now, I think. And
Okay.
that's when I switched to IPS. I've kind of
Cool.
grown my experience and offer more, and I'm loving it. I'm loving
Good.
that level of service. It's been awesome. And so like kind of like how you said you started out just doing like one client a month, like
Yeah.
I've had probably fairly regularly. I always have one a month. I usually have
Cool.
two or three a month.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm doing enough to get by, but
Yeah.
I'm not seeing the huge income increase, right? At least
Mm-hmm.
to the what I'm bringing home. So I've
Yeah.
been I had my eyes peeled for a little bit bigger space. I wasn't really seeing anything. My lease
Hmm.
was up last summer, and finally saw this new space, and it was way bigger for just a little
Huh.
bit more money a month. And I went,
Okay.
ooh, okay, I feel like I need to jump on this. So I jumped. And again,
Good.
I'm gonna be okay. Like I can pay for it. I'm surviving, but I just would love to I would love to have more clients a month where I can bring more home to my family, right? Like
That's right.
that's the
Yeah,
ultimate
and
goal,
you
right?
you don't want to be in business just so your landlord can make all the money, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
It's like there has to
exactly.
be balance. And so a good formula I like to use is I say aim to keep your rent at 5%. And I do know in Midwest towns,
Okay.
I mean, I've been to people's studio where it's like triple my studio square footage and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's
Right.
500 a month." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh."
exactly.
So
It's hard to
what
compare for sure.
yeah, what are we looking at in terms of monthly rent?
So my monthly rent now is 900 a month, and
Okay.
then I'm not sure what I haven't got my first like electric energy, all the utility stuff bill yet, so I'm not sure what
Okay.
that's going to be just yet, but maybe another
Okay.
100 or two. I'm not sure.
Well, let's
So
let's
yeah, like
let's
I
go
said,
with the good old number of 1,000, right? So if
okay,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
1,000, then that's going to
hmm
be 12,000 a year. Let me see. Okay, so
hmm
so aiming to keep your rent at 5% means 12,000 times 20 equals 240,000
oh my,
revenue. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
are we anywhere near there? What's it looking
no,
like?
we are not anywhere near
Okay.
that for sure.
Okay, so what are you looking at as an average sale right now?
Average sale, I'm getting about to 3,000
Good,
ish.
good. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, two,
So
three,
then,
somewhere
so
there.
what does that look like then? 240,000 divided by 3,000 equals 80 clients a year. Oof. Okay,
That's quite a
that's the
few.
rub right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 80 clients a year. Now here's going to be the trick. Now I do say when you're looking to aim to keep your rent at 5%, we want to think about your projected revenue. Where are you heading
hmm
with this business? So a good way to think about where you're heading is think about the successful rock star you of 3 years from now, when
hmm
everybody knows your name and you're really rocking it. At that point, do you think that you're going to have more hours at that point? What is it going to look like?
I mean, probably my thoughts, like I said, are I hope to get, as my business grows, as I
Yeah.
start taking on more clients, I would like to, like you said, start outsourcing some stuff. So if I could
Yeah.
get to where, outsource the editing, outsource,
Sure.
website, those things, like I feel like
Yeah.
that I'm hoping that would help keep the
Yeah.
hours, obviously they will grow a bit, but, and
Yeah.
like I said, I wouldn't mind getting, a babysitter at some point more regularly, like to give
Hmm.
me more
Hmm.
hours of, focused time. But until
Right.
making enough to where I can afford that, that's where I'm kind of in that weird spot right now
Yeah,
until I
and
get
that
there.
also really feels like chicken or egg, the whole
Yeah,
outsourcing
yeah.
your editing piece. And I'll tell you, that was the first thing I did when I moved to one
Mm,
client a week. And I didn't have the money coming in right away. So it was a
right.
little
It's like,
painful. Yeah, because you're doing these
mhm,
sessions almost like on spec, and you're like, oh, I'm paying the retoucher
right.
$150, and I don't know if the client's going to pay. It's a little scary, but
Yeah,
but it's so worth it because remember that 30-hour chunk I'm talking about. For me, retouching took 8 hours per client. Is it similar
right.
for you?
Probably. Yeah,
If we're being
yeah.
honest, right?
It's a
And
bit, for being
even
honest.
yeah, sometimes people are like, "Oh no, it's not 8 hours, it's like 3 hours." And I'm like, "Yeah, but how much procrastinating, right?"
Right. Like there's never any straight focus time. We get interrupted, right?
No.
Like
Yeah,
so
exactly.
much.
And you're like, "Oh, I'll go do an hour at night." And then you're like, "Right after I
Right.
watch this Netflix," you know? So
Right. Never been on my phone
so
too long or something.
yeah. So I think you
Yep.
got to get that off your plate ASAP because that would then
Yeah.
take you down from potentially 30 hours a week to now
hmm
22 hours a week. And that is
Yeah.
really something you could manage right now. So,
hmm
along with as you start to plunk these priorities down, you're going to start to say, okay, I see why I can't do more than one client a week because I'm out of
hmm
hours and I don't
Yeah.
have the time to do it. So this has to go and that has to go. And I
Yeah.
have to be okay with, putting things ahead of time, like making the move before I'm ready, taking a calculated risk, I think is going to be really important.
Calculated risk.
Yeah, calculated risk. That's the key. Because all this is about how are you going to achieve your projections? And your projections are going to tell you, I cannot do this with what I'm currently have set up. So so I'm glad you're at a $3,000 average. And now I think what it could look like for this year, if your priorities are set right, I think a good goal would be to have 40 clients per year, not the 80 that will actually justify the studio rent that you've just increased to, but 40 clients per year, I think could be doable. That's, one a week, a couple misses, a couple vacations, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to look back. I'm trying to think back to my last year. I want to say I did just under 40, I think. I think I had 36-ish or something last year.
Okay.
So we're getting there. It's like
that's
I just
good.
need a few more. So that's where networking and stuff's gonna come in.
Moment of truth. I'm gonna really test your numbers here. If you had 36 clients, what revenue did you bring in last year?
That's a good question. Oh man.
I'll wait. I'm patient.
Okay, wait. Is the mathing? I don't have my laptop.
That's right. Is the mathing. Right. Because the reason why this is so important to know is a lot of times we get overly optimistic with our average sales. And it's like we say, oh, yeah, no, I always sell 3,000. Oh, except for the time I sold 1,500, the time I sold 1,000, the time I had a no sale. And then before you know, you're like, oh, my average is not 3,000. But this is a really important metric to understand because it helps you understand where your projections are going.
Yeah. And I think I want to say last year, my average was probably definitely less. Like it's been increasing, which has been fun to watch. Like I said, once I took that other education course thingy, I remember when I first started selling, my first ones were like, 1,500 or something. And that was like blew my mind, right? That was so much. And like over the course of, the last couple of years, last year, it was, getting closer to 2, getting closer. Yeah. And so like this year so far, it's been more like 3. Like it's been great, but definitely not as many yet. I don't know if, hopefully the fall picks up like it always does, fall's always amazing, but
so do get a real handle on these numbers. All of these things, it's about, does it work on paper? Does the math? And I mean, that's like your responsibility as a business owner. You have to think of things in a mature way. You have to think of financial projections. You have to think about measuring the key metrics. All of this is so important. And so you just got to really put yourself more in that position of CEO and manage your business like a boss. And then you'll find more success. So master these things, keep on working on this, and anything you can do to increase that average sale. Oh, is that going to be a blessing? Because, if you have very limited time, the more you can maximize the client joy is a big piece, right? Maximize the client joy by giving more service, giving more value, but also, of course, maximize your sale. When you maximize the sale, it makes your time more meaningful. So, so working on those averages, getting to, join us in the 10K club, get $8,000 family sales in fourth quarter, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
$18,000 sales. Why not? Go for it.
Oh man, I see those and I just get all excited. I'm like, wow, like that would be amazing.
Totally possible. All right, good. Well, I'm glad we checked that out because I just wanted to make sure that you weren't over your head. And I think that, I think this does seem reasonable projections, but you have got to be boss and you've got to put that nameplate on your desk and think about yourself as boss every day. You're not just showing up like a camera girl. You're showing up like the CEO.
Yes, I think definitely, putting yourself in the right shoes like that is probably going to be, a big shift. So I love that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for following up with me.
Yes. Thank you again.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Want to fix your biz? If you're a professional photographer or aspiring pro, you need to join me in the best business group on the internet. Rise to the Top with Megan DiPiero. Ask your business question in the group and you might just be my next podcast guest. Join now at rttt.life.